Mi gente, what's up? Hello, hello. Bienvenidos. Welcome to another episode, otro episodio de Hoy en Día TV. I am your host and producer, AC Rodriguez, bringing on to the stage my amazing co-host, Dr. CC. Welcome
Hey. Hey, sis. Hello, everyone out there. Happy Thursday.
How are you, my dear? Happy, terrific Thursday.
Yes, I am doing well. I have been lounging all day. A great rest is so needed and so deserved. You normally wouldn't hear me say so deserved. We would say kind of well needed, but I'm like, I deserve to rest. We all do. So I lounged around in my jammies and it felt pretty phenomenal.
I'm so glad that you said that because I agree. I echo your words. Resting is necessary. Did you hear what happened to that young lady? She was 40 and because she didn't really rest, she ended up passing away while she was taking a nap.
Yeah, I did hear about that, and it's very unfortunate. It was really sad and disheartening too to see the comments. Right, they were still like asking, like, "Hey, are you still going to be cooking today?" Like, really, seriously? Like, where is our emotional intelligence these days? You know what I'm saying? And so people, it just goes to show you that people, not all people, some people don't really care about each other, and it's really sad. And the fact that she was working so hard, not taking that day off, we see where it can land us. And she's young. 40 is young. Right. And so we have to take that rest. And I'm kind of in that same boat, after, finishing my studies, working 2 jobs, being a full-time parent, like owning my business, just pushing through it, so many different things. It's a lot. And, I definitely want to take a rest, a hiatus, a sabbatical, not to the point where I die, you know what I'm saying? But just to sit, to just really, truly unwind. Our minds oftentimes it's hard to turn your minds off. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced that, Yessie, but just trying to turn your mind off from preparing from the next thing, moving to the next thing, all of that stuff. And you're a mom, of a young baby boy. And so that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? Your wife, that's a lot, And so, and your businesses, right? And this podcast and all the other things you do with the modeling and the acting, we can go on and on and on, right? Producer and all these things, right? It's a lot. And so you're just, and if you're anything like me, I'm like, my husband says that I'm the glue to the family. And that's a big weight. I know he means it in a good way, but it's a heavy, heavy weight to carry. And sometimes you just get tired of being that glue. And sometimes you want somebody else to be there to be able to stick and hold the pieces together. Right? So, when the kiddos need, I'm the disciplinarian in my home too. So when the kiddos need, getting back in a line and all of that, it just kind of falls on my shoulder, and it's tiring. It's very, very tiring. And so we definitely everyone out there under the sound of our voices, we need the time to truly rest, right?
Yeah. I echo your words like that. Yes, you are correct. Life isn't easy. And especially what I've noticed about you and I, and even Nadine, is that we're go-getters. So we're going to keep going and going like the Energizer Bunny, but eventually our batteries are going to deplete. And then what? We need rest, right? And so just recognizing at what point when your body is telling you no, but your mind is like, nope, you gotta do it. And your body's like, I can't. And it's like a battle within yourself. Like, oh gosh, where am I going to find that energy? And I know that we always lean on God to find that energy, right? But God also wants us to rest.
Yes.
Because we're not machines. We're not robots.
100%, 100%. And there's telltale signs, and a lot of people, I believe, are very aware when they need to rest. They'll say things like, "Oh, I'm so tired today," or "I just couldn't get up," or "I woke up tired." These are all telltale signs, little things that your body's telling you, like you need to rest. And I know some people feel like they really can't rest. And I know truly, we got people out there dealing with real life circumstances. We got homeless people out there that don't want to be unhoused, but life has lifed and they are unhoused. And so just living on the streets, that's something completely new, something completely that is a huge stressor. And if they have children that are with them, just trying to think about, where am I going to live on the streets tonight? How am I going to keep my baby safe? You know what I'm saying? And so there really truly is no rest in that. And I think about those things, and that's why my mind never really kind of shuts off. And I want to shut it off. I want to turn it off. I don't want to die or anything like that. But I definitely want to just rest, just sit back, just rest, just breathe. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to move a muscle in my body. I just want to kind of be like Jello, in a sense. And so sometimes, that could be very, very difficult and very, very hard. So yeah, we're just I think we might have lost Yessie for a minute, but we're still holding it down, sis. It's all good.
It literally, my whole page, my internet page went blank. And so I know what that is. That means that we're talking about something really deep, that the enemy's trying to stop it. But guess what? Sorry, that's not going to happen, buddy.
No, it's not.
Wherever you are, enemy, get away. Get away. Go back now, please. Because we ain't worried about that life now. Nope.
That's right. That's right.
But with that, even going back to what I mentioned about being machines, I was thinking, like, as I was listening to you talking, even machines, they get breaks when they get oiled up, right? And they get maintenance, right? Yeah. So even machines get a break from time to time. Oh, come on.
They do. They really do. That's their rest. Their maintenance is their rest. And two, people are like checking on machines more often sometimes than humans. They want to make sure that that machine is working to its full capacity. They're running diagnostics on it, left and right. And they're making sure that it's going to do what it's supposed to do. And if it's not doing what it's supposed to do, they're going to take that machine offline or whatever it is, and they're going to fix it. Look at how much time and dedication and care for a machine that people have for something that is not alive. But for human beings, sometimes we expect, humans to operate like machines, though we're not machines. And thank God that we're not. We're feeling, we're seeing, we have our senses, right? And so we have to be able to tune in, just like we're diagnosing those machines and giving them the help that they need, right? Maybe they need a new screw, maybe they need a lubricant or whatever. We need that too. The mental health checks are paramount. We go and get checkups for our body. And I've said this before, once a year, you go get that yearly checkup. But I believe that mental health really should be like maybe maybe even a quarterly thing, truly, honestly, to check in. I know you gave us that scale a few weeks back about the emotional health and checking in and writing our numbers, because we've been doing that challenge. That is so beneficial. That has really helped me in ways that I didn't, just something that small, right? You did the research, you put it on the show, you shared it with the masses and me, and I'm like, this is helping me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's time to take that break. And we got to be there for one another, to make sure that we're saying, hey, sis, you're looking a little tired today. You're not on your A game today. What's going on? Perhaps you need to rest. It could be something as simple as just resting, taking a moment to breathe.
Dr. CC, wow. I'm so happy that resonated with you, right? That number, because it resonates with me too. Every morning I'm like, what am I feeling today? A 2, a 3, no, not a 4, maybe a 2. It helps you gauge where you're at, right? It is. And so with that, for those who haven't had a chance to hear our show, and this is your first time tuning in, what Dr. CC is referring to is called the mental health spectrum, which is a wide range of mental states that people experience. And it ranges from 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so with that, 1 means optimal mental health. You're great. You're feeling generally positive, energetic, you're hopeful.
Yep. So that scale is going from that 1 to 4, like she's talking about. And we have given you, the viewers, the listeners, an opportunity to check in right on that 1 to 4 to see where you're at on a daily basis. The 4, I believe, is like the high, and then the low is at like the 1. And so this is called like a Likert scale. So when you, on Likert scales, you might have like a smiley face or a happy face, or sometimes you'll have numbers, right? And so on that scale, you have to check in. And as she was alluding to, this is going to be beneficial for you. I was talking about the numbers on the 4. I think 4 is the high, and like one's like the low or something in there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sorry. I don't know what is going on with StreamYard today, but they got to get it together because they're going to be hearing from a very upset customer. I spent a good enough StreamYard. I spent a good amount of money on the subscription. So y'all better get it together. We ain't got time for shenanigans. I'm trying to run a show here. I'm trying to run a business in the show. Come on now. All right, so going back to mental health. So yeah, 1 is you're feeling good, you're flourishing. 2, mild to moderate challenges. So you're feeling like you're struggling a little bit, a little sluggish. Okay.
Yep. And so we're just having some technical difficulties, but that's okay because, this is a part of the entertainment. All right. Apparently, we are saying something that is so amazing that the enemy is just fighting us right now. And for all you believers that are out there, this is spiritual warfare. This is what you see. Sometimes they call them the principalities of the air. Right. And so with those principalities of the air, they deal with things like this technology, right, on the airwaves, shutting things down because we're trying to get out valuable information, not just information, but knowledge, right? That you can use in your day to day. And this is very, very important. So even if we continue to get kicked off, we're going to continue to come right on back, okay? And be able to share with you all the things that we have to share with you today. We have a very important guest that's on today. And perhaps, maybe the enemy's trying to stop her show, but that is not going to stop us here on Oi India TV. So I hope that you all have been utilizing that emotional scale and checking in with yourself, right? I was just on the other day and I was just telling some friends, I was like, man, I'm feeling a little tired. I'm feeling a little, not under the weather, but just a little tired. So we got to definitely check in with each other. And so that's going to make life even the better for us. So yes, we're still moving and grooving. I was just telling them to make sure that they're doing that scale and continue to take our challenge and things of that nature, and that we're not going to let this stop us, these technical difficulties. Okay.
Absolutely not. Right.
Yeah, we're going to keep it on. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thank you for continuing on. Yes. And so the number 4, you're severely feeling that mental illness. So the challenge that I shared last month in June, and I want you all to continue to do this July, August, throughout, indefinitely within your lifespan, right, is to do monthly check-ins with yourself. So every day when you wake up, rate yourself. How am I feeling? Am I feeling a 1? Am I feeling a 2, 3, or 4? And so by mid-month, do a mid-month check-in. So you're taking those numbers and you're averaging. So you can say by mid-month, my average is a 2. Let's say, for example, by the end of the month, you can average that. That way you can gauge and you can check in with yourself to say, do I need to go see my doctor? Or what can I do to help with my stressors? So pretty much having that mental check within yourself so that way you can gauge how you're feeling, where you're at, and just keeping yourself in line and in check. So that's the challenge that I continue to share with you all because I do it. Dr. CC does it. And there's no shame. You have to take care of you because no one else is going to do it for you. Maybe when you were a kid, mom and dad helped out, or even grandma. But guess what?
Yep. Guess what? No one's going to do it for you. You definitely got to help yourself. And I know a lot of times, we want to have other people check in on us, and they should. Not to say that they should not, but they should be checking in on you. But a lot of times we have to take matters into our own hands. It's just like sometimes you're like, okay, my birthday's coming up. I hope someone's going to play me a party. And nowadays, people really aren't thinking about throwing you a party. Maybe some are, but the majority, they're just not. And so you have to take the initiative to be like, hey, I'm going to throw myself a party. I'm going to celebrate me. So throw yourself the party and don't feel bad or guilty or sad or less than just because you threw yourself a birthday party. You wanted a birthday party, make the birthday party happen. I think we have to get out of a mindset of, thinking that the world has to do all of these things for us because it doesn't, right? We have to take care of ourselves. And at the end of the day, like, yes, he was saying, like, you're going to have to do it. Even being in a marriage, right? Sometimes you think your spouse is supposed to, pick you up when you're down, and so on and so forth. And they're there to help, but sometimes they may not always get it. They may not always understand what's going on with you. And so even with them, you can't get mad, you can't get upset or any of those things. You just have to recognize the situation for what it is. Do not take it personally. I don't want you to internalize these things. Don't take it personally, right? Just realize and understand, like, hey, this is the thing between now, me and my God. Okay. And you're going to work it out. And he's going to help you work it out in every capacity. And sometimes God separates us in areas like that, to where we have to truly depend on him and not worry about somebody else's thoughts of us, what they may want us to do, or what they may not want us to do. But he's forcing us to, have that closer relationship with him, so that we can truly depend on him and let him take care of us. If there's anyone on the face of the planet, right, that wants to take care of you, it is our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay. He's the one. He's like, he tells you, like, give me all your burdens. Okay. For my yoke is easy. Just give me all your stuff. Right. And think about it. He can take it. Right. This guy, my God, right. He literally came from the heavens into the earth. He died for all of the sins of the world. So he's taken everything, right. He's done with it. He's washed as white as snow. And now, yeah, he's completely lighter. So why not cast all your cares and your burdens upon him? Because he can totally handle it, right? And he can carry you over the hump. You made it back. You're muted, sis.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is going on today. What in the world? Oh my, I'm definitely going to have to check in and see what is happening. All right. Well, I'm glad that you are not getting booted off and you can help get the show running. Something is going on this end and I got to figure it out because that's strange. But let's see. We're going to spend minutes over to Congress. So I'm going to read this to you here. It was introduced back in May of 2025 by Republican Jody Arrington out of Texas. The bill passed the House on May 22nd by narrow 215 to 214 with one margin. After amendments took place, passed the Senate office as of July 1st, which was 2 days ago, by a vote of 51 to 50. And that tiebreaker was done by Vice President J.D. Vance. And so what this means is it awaits final reconciliation votes in the House to match Senate language. Republicans are aiming to pass a bill tomorrow, July 4th, 2025. So what does that mean? High level, tax cuts and deductions. So extends the 2017 Trump era Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, preserving lower rates and raising the standard deduction to $15,750 for individuals and $31,500 for married. Raises SALT deduction cap from $10,000 to $40,000 for 5 years. New tax break on tips and overtime pay eliminates certain energy credits. Also, Medicaid and SNAP. This area, unfortunately, a good amount of people are going to feel that loss. So deep cuts to Medicaid and SNAP could strip coverage from up to 11 to 12 million Americans. Implements eligibility work or reporting requirements for Medicaid and SNAP requirements. Clean energy and AI policy rolls back many Inflation Reduction Act clean energy tax credits, suspends EV incentives, enacts a 10-year moratorium on state-level AI regulation, a controversial and unpopular provision that faced criticism and was subject of a Senate amendment. There's a lot more that I can read, but we do have a special guest that's waiting for us. So very high level, I highly encourage you all to go out, do your research, go under C-SPAN. There's a lot of videos from the House of Representatives as well as the Senate office, so you can hear firsthand what these individuals are saying. And that's why I always harp on the importance of midterm elections, because your state official, your local government is what is helping with all this, right? So you vote locally. I encourage you. I get it. You want to go vote for the president. That's important. Yes. But local voting, midterm elections are also important. So you see, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lot to unpack in the bill. It's so much. It's going to affect so many areas. It's going to affect so many people. And it's important what you said about those midterm elections. A lot of people get, like, I'm going to vote for it, and that's going to make the big difference. It's the midterms. It's the small things, y'all. You know how we say, like, the little things are the things that really kind of escalate, they snowball, and then it just all kind of explodes. Well, that midterm election is a small thing, but it's really not a small thing. It's really the power, right, that pushes, right, the upper echelon, right, in our hierarchy. And so do get out there, learn about the people that's running your cities, running your towns, all of these things, right, to know who they are, what they stand for, and kind of where their heads are at. Because if they're not doing the job, look, we vote them out of office, right? So it's either you get on board and you improve, or you got to be removed. All right. So get out there, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever the case, get out there and vote and make your voices heard. Above all things, and in all of these things, pray. Because the prayer is going to be the thing that carries us through from next to next to next, because no one has a greater power than the one above. So you pray, right, and ask God to help you, right, in these things, like who to put in office, because we know that God puts, people in office. It's him. He's controlling this whole narrative. Truly, truly. We think it's man, but it's not. It really isn't. But do your part, right, and get out there and make sure that you vote in these midterm elections.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. All right, Dr. Cece, you brought a special guest to Oyendia TV who is patiently waiting, and I'm really thrilled and excited to bring her on. Would you do us the honors of introducing this special guest and your relationship, or how you know this amazing person?
Yes. So before I introduced her, Dr. Curry, right, as I have now recently become a doctor, she was my editor. And we'll get more into that on the show, but she did an amazing job. And I was just telling her, backstage, like, there's two jobs I never want to do in life. One is editing, and the two is be a mover. Like, it's too much work, okay? But we are so happy to have Dr. Andrea Curry here on the show. She is a 2-time honors graduate of Walden University with a master's in healthcare administration and also a PhD in health services. Her groundbreaking research on racial health disparities and the patient-provider relationship is making waves in oncology and beyond. She manages patient-reported outcomes at West Care Center, leads key observational studies that elevate patient care, and she also runs Dr. AC Writes LLC, that's how I became to her through her business, where she's helped hundreds of doctoral candidates, such as myself, worldwide. She also serves as an adjunct faculty at 3 universities. So this lady is beyond busy, okay? A true advocate for focus and excellent, Dr. Curry reminds us all to resist mediocrity and reach higher. So let's take a moment in time to welcome Dr. Andrea Curry. Yes, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Wow, impressive bio. We are so happy, so thrilled that Dr. Cece was able to make the connection and bring you on, Dr. Curry, to Oyendia TV. So welcome to Oyendia TV. Yes.
Thank you so much.
So Dr. Curry, you have an amazing bio, but who would you say that you are? Like, what is the bottom line that we should know about Dr. Curry?
So I always introduce myself as being a multifaceted professional. I use my degree in 3 ways. I teach, I research, and then I edit. I'm just someone who is very passionate about taking every day as an opportunity to maximize it. In 2018, I had a personal health scare. They thought that I had ovarian cancer. And in that moment, when you get a diagnosis like that, you start thinking about all the things that you haven't done and all of the things that you'd like to accomplish. So that's why I work so hard, because I recognize that this life that I've been given is a gift. It is not promised. It is not something that I should take for granted. And so I'm committed to doing all I can as long as I can and as best that I can.
Wow. Amazing. So I'm gonna take it all the way back. Let's rewind right to when you were growing up. What motivated you to get into this industry? Like, did you have that passion when you were growing up, or how did you become acquainted with editing?
So no, I actually edited for a publisher when I worked for a community college, and to even talk about Dr. AC Writes now still blows my mind. I'm about to celebrate 6 years next month, but thank you. I changed roles in 2019. So I worked for a large hospital system here in my city, and then I transitioned to an oncology practice, and I wasn't aware, or I didn't do my homework, that there was going to be a 3-week delay in me getting paid. So I'm frantic and I'm like, what am I going to do? So then I just prayed and I'm like, Lord, what can I do to generate some income in between? Because I just wasn't prepared for that. And it's like a light bulb went off and I thought about editing. And so I made a flyer in Canva. I posted it that that day, and I got my very first client. And so that client, she just spoke into my life and she told me how my life was never going to be the same. And I would never want for anything. And she just went on and on. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't plan on doing this for long term. I'm just doing it. I'm just doing this for right now. And so now Dr. AC Writes is protected by the Better Business Bureau. They came to me. I have A+ ratings with all these positive scores. And this has become a business, but I always say that it was a God idea. It was never mine. And I had no plans for even continuing to do it almost 6 years later.
Wow. That is, yes, truly, truly amazing.
Amazing.
And so now that you've edited papers worldwide to different doctoral candidates, and this is what I learned offline before we joined, how did you get your name out there? Like, was it that one flyer that helped you, or was it the word of mouth? Like, what did you do? What strategy did you use to really get your momentum going to where you are today?
Well, I really can't take credit for it. I give it all to God because I haven't really done anything. Oftentimes people want to talk to me because they see when I make posts about updates or how many edits I've done and what schools I've worked with. I didn't do anything really out of the ordinary. I post flyers, so I taught myself how to do graphic design. So I do all of that. I made I made a decision to launch a website. So I designed my own website and I do all of that, but just little things along the way. And I think now what helps to push it is more so word of mouth. As I do a client do their work, and then they tell their friends, and then their faculty members all over the place who are referring their students to me. So that's just how it keeps moving. I really don't. I have tried to promote it myself, and I spend money running ads. I never get the type of momentum that I do from word of mouth, because really that's your greatest advertisement, is having someone who's worked with you before, and then they have someone that says, hey, do you know someone? And then they refer them, because oftentimes as consumers, I know even for myself, I'm always interested in reading reviews or hearing someone's testimonial. So that's really the biggest thing. And I take great, I won't say pride, but I'm very intentional about ensuring that the experience that each client has with me is a positive. But of course, you can't please everyone, and that's just not how life works. And so when I have those encounters where someone isn't pleased, I do my best to mediate that. But that's one thing that I'm excited about being a part of the Better Business Bureau, is that they will do that for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like what you said, because everything that's really happened with you, having the job but not getting a paycheck. So it's like, okay. And then having to, like, you really didn't even figure it out. It's like you said, it was a God idea. He just kind of placed that in you, and then he birthed it, and it happened very quickly, and it was organic. So that's how I met you, right? A classmate referred me to you. She said, man, this lady's amazing. And she goes, on top of that, she's a believer. And I was like, all right, and so I was like, yeah. And so then like I told you, I got at least 3 students coming your way, like just easy, right? Just from the university, and even to put you on with the president of the university, because we have, a good relationship, just being in some of the organizations on, with Kaiser University and everything. I think it's going to be a really great, relationship, and just sending students your way and things of that nature. So I am very, very proud of you. I know that had to be so challenging, right? Not just, not knowing where the next paycheck was going to come, right? Not to say maybe that you had fear, maybe you had a little bit of fear, but I know that you're a woman of faith. So can you tell us about when it happened? Okay, you got the job, yay, but now there's no money coming. And so now, you're like, okay, God, and I'm trusting you in this thing. What was that process like? Like, were you able to I'm not sure, how mature you are in Christ. Maybe you have a really long history. Maybe you're a new believer. I don't really know that. But getting from the point where, I got the job, but I have no money. you've given me this idea. Is it really going to generate income? What were your like emotions with that? Like, how were you able to stand on your faith to say, okay, he's going to get me through it, or maybe not?
Mm-hmm. So I would say yes. I was not born into Pentecostal experience, but I grew up in the Church of God in Christ. And so we were taught the word, we were taught the Bible, and we were taught to walk it out by faith. So I started my job July the 15th in 2019, and I had this come to Jesus moment when I started looking. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not going to get paid for 3 weeks. Oh my gosh. And so the same day that I had the idea, I immediately went to my computer and drafted up the flyer, and I posted it that same day. And when I got my very first client that same day, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. I still didn't know that it would continue in this manner, but that I didn't really waver, because I thought about all the things that God had already brought me through. So I knew that this would just be something else to add to my story, my testimony. So I was not fearful. I knew that in worst case scenario, I could go and get a part-time job in a pharmacy, because I am a certified pharmacy technician. So there are other options, but I really wanted to do something that I could do on my own time, because I didn't know how demanding this new role was going to be.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. So what's now like new on the horizons for you? Like you're doing all the editing, you're like an adjunct faculty at these different colleges. What is that like, just being an adjunct? How does one kind of get into that field? And is it all that is like, people think it to be?
Well, so I taught at a allied health college here in my city for almost 4 years. So I had that in-person instruction experience, which is totally different, because when you are in person, you're getting to see your students. Now they're virtual roles, so I don't see them. So I have to work a little bit harder sometimes to try to get to know them outside of whatever LMS system the different schools use. But it's a great experience. I enjoy it because it keeps me fresh on different topics, because I teach different classes for the different schools. But it's not hard work. I think it takes intentionality with your scheduling, because I have to make sure that I have enough time to get grades done on time, to post final grades, to respond to students and things of that nature. But I enjoy it.
So when you become like an adjunct, faculty at the different colleges, like, do they have already a curriculum designed for you, or do you have to put something in place? How does that work? And then if it's a curriculum that they put in place for you, but it's not a great one, right? How do you go about getting that change, or is that something that you can do?
Not really. All the schools that I'm at, even a school I was I at 4 schools? No, I think I was at 4 schools at one point. They all have their own curriculum, so they bring me in to just teach what they've already, or basically facilitate, because I don't lecture. So they bring me in to facilitate their courses, and if I come across anything that I think needs to be changed, then I can submit that through the proper channels. But I've been doing that work for 6 years now, in addition to the oncology role, and it's been fine. It can be a little stressful sometimes, but overall, I enjoy it.
That's amazing. So the question I have for you is work-life balance related. So with all that you have on your plate and the very productive and busy schedule, right?
Mhm.
How do you make time for that work-life balance? Like how do you deal with that? I'm just curious.
So I get to make the decision. I have full autonomy with my adjunct roles to tell them whether I want to take a class or not, how many classes I want to take. I am very passionate about my travel and my self-care. So if there's a time where I need to take time off, I'll just block off a whole term and tell them I'm not available to teach in this term. I've done that before. And I do the same thing with my business. If I decide, you know what, let me just take some time, because we need that time to settle and to rejuvenate ourselves. Like last weekend, I had a staycation. I took a nap every day and I loved it.
That's good.
I love it. So you have to make the decision to do what's best for you. And being busy is not something that I do because I have nothing else to do. It's a part of my life's work. Like I have to make sure that I'm giving back. I'm receiving and I want to give. I don't want to just have so much poured into me and I'm overflowing and I don't ever take some of that excess to pour into someone else. So that's
That's
how I
good.
look at life.
That's good. Now, I know that you mentioned in the bio that you do research and you also had your scare with cancer and things of that nature, and you actually work in the field of oncology. So, I mean, everything nowadays, you know, you just step outside and get sun, it's cancer. You just breathe the air and there's cancer. You stand under a tree and there, like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I put on lipstick and like this whole cancer thing, right? And it seems like you have like a good handle on this. Like, I guess my question is like, it's just for like lifestyle and health, right? Everything these days is like cancerous. It's just like, you know, don't say the C word. This is just, you know, don't say it, you know, because everything is gonna, you know, but what is new, like, I guess on the cutting edge of like in treatments and ways to help people recover from cancer? Because, you know, I've heard that there's theories out there or actual research that, you know, there are a lot of holistic things that you can do as far as different supplements with vitamins and minerals and all of these things, right? To help one eradicate cancer out of their bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
can you talk a little bit about, you know, the different research that's really kind of, you know, I guess maybe the top research, I guess, in the lines of cancer? What's out there now that they're really kind of speaking on?
Well, I really can't answer that question. The work that I do is patient-reported outcomes. So essentially, the studies that I oversee, we're giving our patients an opportunity to extend their voice to answer whatever research questions we're hoping to get the answers for. So I've done all different types of projects. So I'm not really on the clinical trials side of research. I'm doing more so of observational projects where we're walking along the way with the patient to get their perspective. Because when I worked on my dissertation, there was one thing that I found in the literature. We don't often ask patients about their perspective. We take face value the perspective of the clinician. And so, how can you invoke social change if you never talk to those who are directly impacted by whatever it is that they're going through, their chronic condition, their acute condition, whatever it is? You have to go to the source. And so that's the work that I do. So I really can't answer that question. One thing I do know that I have heard that you really should limit your sugar intake and you should really be active. So in 2021, found out I was being nominated for an award here in the city, 40 under 40 Black Urban Professionals. And I knew that I was going to be on a stage in front of hundreds of people. I'm like, I don't want to look like a rusted baked potato, so I need to go and join a gym. And so I joined a gym and I've been doing a HIIT class. I'll celebrate 4 years next month. I've been doing that. And then so I do that twice a week. And then I work out with a personal trainer twice a week. So really being active is really not just good physically, but I say that the gym is my therapy. I don't have to have a therapist because when I've had a bad day, I'm stressed out, I can go and lift as heavy as I possibly can, and I leave it on the gym floor. So that's something that I think is the most important outside of maybe food and things of that nature. It's everything starts here in our minds. So once we get our minds regulated, everything else I feel like lines up because as the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So it starts here. And I actually wrote a book in 2018. It all came out the same year with the cancer scare, and it's entitled Mind to Heart. So there are 60 motivational thoughts that I've expounded upon in the book. And that's one thing that I used as a catalyst for generating the title Mind to Heart, because again, it starts in the mind. Once you get your mind in order, you will see how everything lines up. A lot of the times when people are out here and they are saying all types of things and you're doing all types of things, it starts in your mind first. So if we take control over that, I feel like that is definitely the thing that's going to impact us the most. And as I talk to patients, that's one thing that they share with me. You know, I had to get myself together. I had to regulate my thought process, how I accepted the news of the diagnosis and the treatments, and to go through that entire journey. And so for me, this work is personal. I share it everywhere I go. My story started with my uncle, Mr. Gardner Jones, who was a patient at the clinic that I work for now. When we found out he was sick, he was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer. And so my dissertation was dedicated to his life and legacy because he passed away about 2.5 years after his diagnosis. But 2 days before he passed, I promised him that I would finish my degree and I would make him proud of me. So because of his life and his impact on my life has propelled me to do all the things that I'm doing. And I actually oversee a missions project that we do every year. We give thousands of dollars back to the organization that allow him to go into their hospice facility. We never got a bill. There was no charge. And so my mom and I, we spearhead this initiative every year, and people give, and we donate 100% of everything that we generate to give back to this great organization. So I can go on and on about oncology, but it's just so important not only that we advocate for ourselves, but if we have family members who may not be as comfortable, that we be their advocates as well, because we were that for my uncle. He never went to a doctor's appointment alone. When he got admitted to the hospital, he didn't spend a night alone. When he went into hospice, there was never a day that no one was there. And so we have to just take the mindset that it's so important that we're not just there for ourselves and we don't live life selfishly. We give back to others as we see fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dr. Curry, in your bio, you mentioned that you're an advocate for focus and excellence, reminding people to resist mediocrity. What exactly do you mean by that? Please elaborate. And what words of encouragement would you share with those who may be feeling, like mediocre is enough for them?
Right. So one thing that I often think about, I remember when I was working for an organization where I was a training and development specialist, made pretty good money. One day I was called into a conference room. My job was eliminated along with about 20 other people. And so I found myself going back to working in a pharmacy full time. And I'm looking at people my age who are working in their careers. They're doing the things that I wanted to do. And people will often ask me, well, what are you doing and where are you working? Because that's just the thing that we like to do. And I'm like, well, I work for Kroger in the pharmacy. And I started to feel bad about that because I'm like, I'm not where I want to be. And I'm looking at other people's lives. And once I stopped doing it and stopped comparing myself to other people, I was able to start thriving because I came into my own. I'm like, this is my journey. This is a part of my story. I had no idea that this would be where I am today. I didn't know that I would be Dr. Curry. I didn't know that I would get called to or asked to do things like this, be on podcasts. But once I accepted this is where I am, I'm going to maximize where I am right now, and I'm going to give it the best that I have. So when I say to resist mediocrity, that's exactly what I mean. It doesn't matter about where you are compared to anyone else. Are you maximizing where you are right now? Are you making the most of what you have right now in every opportunity that you have? So that's what I mean, and being excellent in whatever that is. So as a pharmacy technician, I tried my best to learn as many skills as I could because that was my job. Although I was applying for positions every week, probably, there were so many positions I applied for and before I got a new role. But I said, you know what, let me just thank God that I have this job. I have insurance. It may not be the most ideal situation, but let me just be excellent in where I am. And when I took the attitude, it wasn't much longer after my uncle passed that I was presented with a new opportunity. And then it's just progressed from there. But with each opportunity, I try to ensure that I am offering as excellent of a service as I can, because the Bible tells us that we're to work as unto the Lord. So if I'm working as unto the Lord, would I not want to give him my best? The answer should be yes.
Yes, and it should. Yes, as we say, and it should be. Yes, I love that. I love that. I love that, and I love that some more, because a lot of times we do become complacent in just the mediocrity of it all, and sometimes, we get tired. Like we were talking about that before we began the show, or before we brought you on in the show, is just this fatigue that people are experiencing throughout, because we're working. And a lot of us are working because of the comparison, right? Trying to keep up with the Joneses. Like, I don't know who the Joneses are. I don't know where it all came from. But who are these people? Because like no one can really keep up with these people. Okay. These people are like, I guess, got big yachts and houses and 15 cars and all the money. Like, who are these people? Okay. So it's like, I can't keep up with the Joneses. I don't even know who they are, where they live, whatnot, but we typically, try to compare ourselves with so many others. And that's what gets us caught up. And the Bible tells us not to do that, right? We're not to compare ourselves. There's so many good proverbs, the wisdom book, as we call it, to help us to be able to set ourselves straight. I wanted to ask you this question because I'm a new graduate, right? Well, at least for this degree. I got other degrees and certifications, but we ain't gonna get into all that. My husband says I'm a professional student, okay? So I have to get a diploma for the diploma and the diploma for that diploma, okay? Just to make sure that it counts, all right? He's like, you gotta sew all your diplomas together and put them on as a blanket. I'm like, if I need to, you know what I'm saying? It's like, don't be jealous. Okay. But did you at any point, like after you graduated, right, receiving this pinnacle of academia excellence and success, right? It doesn't get any higher than this. Okay. Did you ever at a time or any time in your career or life, have like the imposter syndrome? If you know what that means, like the imposter syndrome, you've heard of that, right? Yes. Because what I'm finding as a new grad, and not only myself, but other graduates that I'm talking to, we are kind of experiencing that now. And I know I've experienced it before when it didn't have a name, but I'm really experiencing it now because now as a graduate and being a first generation, doctor in my family, which is great, people, the next thing they say, well, what are you going to do next? And I'm like, I'm going to rest for the next 5,000 years. Okay. I just need to rest today, right? My brain is broken. I'm tired. And so did you ever experience that? Or like, what are your thoughts about that? The whole imposter syndrome and all of that, being at the top, and now people are saying what next? And I say that too, because, yes, you're considering moving forward in your degree. And, maybe this is something that we're all kind of experiencing, or maybe not. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So I didn't experience imposter syndrome because, again, I am one that has always been driven. And so even getting a PhD was never my dream. I was so satisfied with stopping with my master's degree, but it was my mom who encouraged me to keep going. She was like, you should keep going. You're so close. I'm like, how do you calculate that? She's like, just call the school. So I called the school and they looked me up and they were like, yes, you had a 4.0 in your master's program. So we'll take all of your credits from the master's program, drop it over into the PhD. Only had to do 11 classes and write the dissertation. So I said all that to say, once I finished the program, I always had a goal. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I knew I wanted to get back into academia. So the week after my hooding, I came home and started applying for adjunct faculty roles. Like this is what I wanted to, I knew I wanted to maximize the degree. I didn't know what I would do full time really, but I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to teach on the side because I'm all about having multiple streams of income. That's something my dad has preached to me as long as I could understand what he was saying. So I want to do that. And so once I got the call to interview at the cancer clinic, I'm like, okay, this is going to be great because I know I'm believing I'm going to get this job. And so I didn't go through that as far as thinking that I'm not good enough and I'm not supposed to have these opportunities. No, absolutely not. I feel like you have to lay aside those thoughts because if that were the case, you wouldn't have been able to successfully go through the process. Less than 2% of the world's population has a terminal degree. I don't care how many honorary degrees there are. Those of us who've earned it, we are less than 2% of the population. For Black women, it's even less. So if you've earned the degree, you've done the work. No one can take that away from you. And one thing that I tell my clients, no one knows your research more than you. Whatever it was that you focus your studies on, your time on, because for me, it seemed like it took forever. It really didn't take that long, but it seemed like it took forever to get through the dissertation process. And so you don't let anyone make you feel less than. For a lot of people who try to do that to you, and this is something that I've seen, they don't even have the degree. So sometimes you're allowing someone who's not even done half of what you've done to make you feel a certain way about yourself. So you have to cast that to the side. You've done the work And now let's get to work. So once I defended, there was something my committee told me. They were like, okay, this is just the beginning. We expect you to publish more. We want to see more from you. And every time that I do something, I'm sending it to my chair. I'm about to celebrate 7 years in October, and I'm still sending her things. And she's like, I am just so proud of you. And I don't do that so she can pat me on the back, but I do that because I appreciate what their investment in my life and the trajectory of my life up until this point. And I want them to see I didn't just get the degree because I want to look at it on my wall. I did it because I have a purpose and I want to make an imprint in this world. So you have to just reject those thoughts, and because we know that's from the enemy. And again, it starts here. So if you allow your mind to rule everything that you do in a negative way, you can expect negative results. So just spin in a positive, remind yourself that you did the work. You deserve to be here. You've earned your right to be here, to be Dr. CC, to be Dr. Yessie in the future. You've done the work. So celebrate that and get to work.
Absolutely. I like that. You've done the work, so get to work. But I'm going to take a little break, though, before I get back to...
That's okay. That's okay, too.
I love those words. Very positive, encouraging. I just absolutely love that. I'm really thrilled that we have you here because of that, because I love that personality, that vibe, that aura that you represent. Positivity. Yes, that is what we are here at OEND about, positive, right? Motivating, inspiring, enlightening, educating, and entertaining. And we are doing that right here, right now.
Yes, absolutely. On Oyendia TV, we're getting ready to ramp down. And so what we like to do in this last part of the segment, Dr. Curry, is we like to give our last words, right? And so that can be a quote. It can be anything positive you might want to say, anything like that. And so I know that's what you're heading into there. Yes, and you kind of popped off.
Yeah. It's something going on with my browser too. I figured that out. I keep getting like an error message. I'm not sure what's going on. I haven't used this laptop in a while, so I gotta figure this out because I need it for other stuff. So no, pretty much what I was going or leaning towards is more of just a positive mindset. And then at any point, do you ever feel the negativity, right? Because we're human, we're flesh. Do you ever come across where you're like, I'm not feeling
it's a fight today. I know that we're doing such a good job. Yes, I know that people all around, because this is an international show as well, and so people they're listening and they need to hear it. It doesn't even matter that the enemy's trying to come in and stop it, because he can't stop us, because we do it live here, but then after this is done, we'll air it again. So people are going to get it. So I'm like, he needs to sit down, have several seats, right? Because we're going to make this go forth, right? So I'm not really sure what question she was going to kind of head into. There, she's back. All right. And then she goes again. It's all good. Oh my goodness. No worries.
So I'll just answer the question. I'll just say, if I had one thought that I wanted to convey to your audience, it would be something that I shared with someone last year, is that you have to make sure that you enjoy your life. Whatever that looks like, whatever that encompasses, make sure that you take each day for the joy and the blessing that it is, and don't sit on your hands. If God has put something in your hands to do, get off your hands and get to work. It doesn't matter what's going on in politics. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. The Lord is still on the throne, and he is sitting high and looking low. And he said to work while it is day, because when the night comes, no man can work. If I'm not mistaken, the night hasn't come yet. So get busy, stay busy, do the work, and maximize each day. And I think if we keep that in mind and don't get distracted by what we see, because that's the enemy's tactic. He operates in distraction. If he can get us distracted, then we become fearful. Then we become afraid. We become stagnant. Take your eyes off the world, put your eyes on Christ, and keep working, get busy, work while it's day, and keep going. And that would be what I would share with everyone that tunes in to this episode.
That is beautiful. And even right now, me having these technical issues, the enemy is trying to get at me, but guess what? I'm not going to let that bother me, because I know, and you all know, and the viewers and listeners know how powerful this segment is. And this is the testimony that I have right now, dealing with technological issues, right? Where whatever it is that the seed that is being dropped at this very moment is that powerful that the enemy is trying to stop it, but it's not going to happen.
Amen.
It is not going to happen. And so with that, what I was getting or alluding to earlier was, if at any point if you ever feel down, and if you do, how do you push yourself out of that to continue with the positive mindset? Because with me, I consider myself a positive person, but then every now and then my flesh hits, right? And I'm like, so, but then what I do is I pray. So what do you do to get yourself out of situations like that? Or if you ever experience situations like that?
Well, of course, I'm human. I'll say that the best thing that I've noticed that works for me is to take the time to acknowledge my feelings. I think that it's so unhealthy, even talking about mental health. I did a segment on this a few years ago. We like to push things under the rug and not deal with it, and that becomes unhealthy, and then you start suppressing. So if I have a moment when I'm sad, my grandmother passed away during the pandemic, and I miss her every single day. This is somebody that I talk to 2 or 3 times every day. I spend every Saturday with her. And so even 5 years later, if I feel sad, I'm going to cry. And I don't make apologies for that. I talk about her all the time because I feel like love never dissipates, even when eternity separates. She's never far from me, even though physically there are worlds between us. And so we have to be willing to take the time to acknowledge whatever those emotions are. If I'm frustrated, if I'm disappointed, if I'm upset, if I'm sad, I take the time to acknowledge those emotions and to deal with them. And then I shake it off. That was something my grand always told me. You have to shake the dust off your feet and keep moving. There's more life ahead of me. To experience. And so if I allow my emotions to take over, if I let them rule me, I wouldn't be on this podcast right now. I would have sent a message to Dr. C, say, you know what, I'm not feeling it. I think I'm sorry, whatever. But no, it's not about me. The lives that we are blessed to live, we get to live them, but they are to benefit other people. So hopefully the things that I've shared today will inspire and encourage someone else, because truly that's what it's all about. And being intentional with your emotions and being willing to express those and to just really dig deep into them, to unpack them. That's something that I think is really important. We oftentimes, as women of color, we like to suppress and put it in a box. And then what happens, you keep packing into that box, and to the point where it starts to overflow, and now you're exploding. And then you give into the narrative of being an angry woman, and oh, she's just menopausal and whatever, she's PMSing, and it just becomes this big negative narrative. But we have to take accountability for actually dealing with our feelings and our emotions in that moment, so that it doesn't trickle into other facets of our life.
That's really good. I like that. I like that with the whole feeling thing. I always tell people, feel what you're feeling, but don't believe every feeling that you feel. Why?
Amen.
Because, feelings, they're up and down. Like we could be on the show here happy, and I'm like, yeah, and love and joy and peace and happiness. And then one of you guys might say something, and I'll be like, what are you talking about, Willis? You know what I'm saying? So, all of that, these emotions and things. So that's very important. Very good. Well said.
Absolutely. Dr. Cece, do you have any other questions to ask before we pivot over into the last word segment?
We were golden. You were so amazing, Dr. Andrea. I'm so happy that, our paths crossed. I know it wasn't, by coincidence or anything. And I'm grateful. And I know that the work that we've done here on the podcast tonight is going to touch somebody. I truly believe that it's probably saving somebody's life even right now as we speak, because the enemy was fighting us just way too hard. Somebody needs to hear it, and they're going to heard it. He didn't stop anything. And that's the thing too. You see right now, we are stronger than the enemy. You see how we kept pushing and pushing. He pushed back, we pushed back. He pushed back, we pushed back. And we're still here, right? The show went on, right? You say, knock the dust and keep it pushing. That's what we did tonight. So she would be very proud of us right now in this moment.
That's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. And God is amazing. Oof, yes. So last minute words, this is an opportunity for you to share if you have a quote, remind the viewers and listeners where they can find you if they want to work with you, if they want to hire you to, for editing purposes, where they can find you, pretty much anything with regards to who you are. And so to share an example, I'll have Dr. Cece lead us, and then Dr. Curry, you can go second, and then I'll go last.
Okay. Absolutely. So hello, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining us for Oyandia TV. It has been a real treat for us tonight, especially with our special host, Dr. Curry. But I am C. Andrew, the actionist with Inspire for Purpose, Girls with Gigs, and Extended Hands Worldwide Ministries, right? So we're making it do multifaceted, as Dr. Curry said earlier. And so you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. Just look me up underneath Sunshine Baker, actually. So, so positive. So as I always love to say, remember nothing positive ever came from negative thinking. And as always, love and light and inspire for purpose.
Awesome. So you can find me also I am on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, I am on Threads. So if you look for Dr. AC Writes LLC or Andrea Curry or Dr. Andrea Curry, you can find me on any social media. If you Google me, it'll come up. I don't know anything else that I would add as far as last words, but I'm just so appreciative for this opportunity. I have so enjoyed being a part of this podcast. I'm actually now following your page, and I look forward to going back and watching other episodes. I think this is a great example of working together to produce something that is powerful. And I noticed as well, even when we started, I'm like, oh my gosh, the enemy is really trying to stop this message from going forth, but he is a liar. It is going to happen. Someone needs to hear what is going to be shared. So again, I just really thank you both for the opportunity. I look forward to continued collaboration. If you ever need me for another episode or for anything, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you. You read my mind, Dr. Curry, because I'm like, I would love to have her in a feature episode of Oyandia TV to share some more food for thought. And yes, so I actually would love that. And I know Dr. Cece would love that too. So we welcome you with open arms, and we'll definitely, I'll have Dr. Cece coordinate that with you at a later date. So that'll be perfect. And for those who want to know about me, I am Yessie Rodriguez. You can find me, just go on Google and just type in Yessie Rodriguez, and you'll be able to find who I am and my social media handles. My website is also there, yessierodriguez.com. And also, if you Google Oyandia TV, you can find all the locations where the actual podcast is playing. So type in Oyandia TV podcast, and you'll see all of our locations. I also have it pinned on my Facebook. So if you ever wonder, like, Spotify link or Amazon Music or iHeartRadio or Pandora, we are on all of those and more. So I am very proud. I'm very grateful, thankful that God is using us as vessels here to display and carry out this positive message with each and every guest we have every week. And just the positivity, the food for thought, because people need to hear this. There's so much negativity going on in this world, but we want to be that beacon of light to help you think and frame your mindset differently, right? Always seeing the glass half empty versus half full. I mean, hey, it's all about the mindset. So with that in mind,
with that in mind, our advertisers would be showing right now on the screen. We'll go ahead and put out that My Rod Entertainment. Okay, I was doing the commercials.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, because I'm having so many technical issues on my end, I'm just gonna shout out to all our sponsors. We have Collective Wear, we have My Rod Enterprises, Divine Beauty and Accessories, Girls with Gigs, Inspire for Purpose, Nadine, the author. Shout out to Nadine, who's also, she does her businesses and so many amazing things as well. She's our other co-host who wasn't able to join us today, but she is with us in spirit. And to all you viewers and listeners, thank you so much. And we also look forward to having Dr. Curry in a future segment. And final words, the sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless. Always remember the sky is never the limit because the galaxies are endless. Thank you all for tuning into Oyandia TV. We'll see you next week. Until next time.
Until next time.